Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, HaKodash. Double honor to our apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, love, and mercy be unto you, Elaka, community throughout the four corners of the world, who labor hard to push this word diligently and sincerely, putting your lives on the line, hazarding your lives to push the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and to get this message out there. Condemning and exposing, Esau, Edom, who is now in control of the world, as well as bringing to knowledge, or bring it to understanding, bringing to the forefront the prophecies of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which it exposes the nation of Edom and the rest of these nations, and it brings them their judgment. And also, bringing to the nation of Israel their judgment, in the eyes of the Most High Heavenly Father. That's the duty of the prophets, of the Lord. It was to speak before the people, those lamentations, mournings, and woes. That was whether they were an Israelite or non-Israelite. Now the true Israelites are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as the names that they're known by today, but their true nationality is the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel happens to be scattered throughout the four corners of the world. So this gospel, according to the commandment of the Messiah, in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, it has to be preached throughout the four corners of the world, and then the end shall come. So the fact that this message has been being pushed very strongly via the internet, beginning with our apostles here at Great Millstone, with the exception of a few other individuals, that was using the internet, but it didn't really get popular until, the apostles of Great Millstone began using the web to push this word out, and it's here at Great Millstone, we're basically, we make a lot of videos, all right? We're the ones that are doing the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, laborious, using this unicorn, using this internet to get the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai out there. So this truth has been flourishing, so not only has the nation of Israel, a lot of the elect of the nation of Israel has been waking up via the unicorn, which is the internet. And a lot of nations, as well as Esau, has been finding out their judgment that's going to happen unto them. Now, I'm making this video because I came across, through the spirit, I came across two articles, which through the spirit, I believe was video quality. One is, both of them is kind of dealing with the mark of the beast. One is dealing with biometrics, and the other one is dealing with Venezuela. And Venezuela will now be using the cryptocurrency. I believe it's called like a petro cryptocurrency to fix their condition. So they're going to implement a national cryptocurrency. And the thing about that national cryptocurrency is basically is getting Venezuela set up for the mark of the beast. Now there's articles that have been published which shows you that there's a new form of the RFID, which and now holds more megabytes of memory, and it can be used as a Bitcoin wallet, to store Bitcoins. It can be used to store Ripple. It can be used to store what's another cryptocurrency? Ethereum. Ethereum and Bitcoin are two of the highest cryptocurrencies that are out there that are being used at this point in time. So if it's a national cryptocurrency, it's going to be pretty much Venezuela's cryptocurrency. So that means that from the poor to the rich, that they'll have to use that currency in order to buy and sell. You know, so it's getting them prepared and set up for the RFID chip. And I'm gonna pretty much touch on a little bit on how Venezuela, you know, enter into the conditions that it's in. You know, but from this point, I'm gonna share the screen, and I hope that this lesson is edifying. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. You know, which and you brothers out there, if you don't have any video titles, and this is just a pretty much a testimony. Pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. You know, if your spirit is feeling low, you know, pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Ask him for titles. Ask him for a spirit booster. You know, don't fall out of this thing, man, but keep on grinding, because we're at the end of this thing. You know, we've come too far to give up now. You got to keep on trucking, baby. You know, because hey, the finish line is right there. And seeing articles like this, as well as this one right here that we're gonna get into, you know, it's just a motivational piece. It's a spirit booster. All right, because these things right here are prophesied in the scriptures. Pretty much, if you're an individual that fall out of this thing, is because you're not motivated. It's because you're not really getting into it. You know, after a while, you know, yeah, it's kind of like a struggle, but then eventually this thing becomes fun. You know, it's a fun thing bringing out information like this right here, which this is by NVIDIA. I mean, this article is from nextgov.com, but it says NVIDIA facial recognition AI for smart city surveillance. Now, pretty much the smart city surveillance is dealing with the biometric system that's going to be implemented in every city, you know, throughout the US and other places throughout the world. And what this entails is cameras being put up, and what it does is it does a facial recognition. It has a facial recognition software, which is biometrics. You know, which biometric is dealing with the measurement of life. So any living source, you know, you'll be able to pretty much measure it and be able to identify it. For an example, you can use this software on a dog, and you can use it on a cat, but it's mainly, of course, it's going to be used on human beings. And the biometric system pretty much goes hand in hand with the mark of the beast. Both of them are going to work together, you know, in the Internet of Things, which the Internet of Things, you if you watch Apostle Tahar, he brings that word out a lot, you know, dealing with speaking on the mark of the beast in its system. You know, so this system is going to go hand in hand with the mark of the beast. So the fact that they're trying to upgrade cities, I mean, well, the mark of the beast is already here. All right. It just hasn't hit the point to where they're forcing people to take it. But that time is coming soon, especially when you look at the geopolitics and the things that are going on around the world. The time is coming where that mark of the beast is going to be made mandatory. And you're not going to have it's either going to be take the mark of the beast or be put to death. And if by chance you escape being put to death, that only means that Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is on your side. But other than that, the whole world is going to be tempted. You know, they're going to be tempted with taking that RFID chip. And there's going to be a lot of people that take it, as well as a lot of people that get put to death. So to speak more on this biometric system through NVIDIA, it says tech company NVIDIA announced Thursday that it has partnered with AI developer AnyVision to bring a new type of surveillance technology to smart cities. Both companies are working on bringing automated facial recognition into closed circuit television surveillance cameras, Marshall reports. AnyVision underscore BT has joined our Metropolis software partner program. Its AI powered facial recognition helps reduce vandalism, monitor crime, find missing person. So, like I said, this thing will be working hand in hand with the RFID chip because that RFID chip would also have a GPS software on it to where they can track individuals. As much as they like to say that they don't have that technology on the RFID chip, that it can't be tracked, but that's a damn lie. Because when you look at these different videos via YouTube, and you look at pretty much the companies that give these RFID chips to their employees, one of the things that they say is they can pretty much track their employees' whereabouts. They can see if they're on time, if they're at work, if they're on the premises. You know, it gives them access to different parts of the buildings. They can go to the break room. They can buy lunch and food with it. You know, so this RFID chip can be used for many different purposes. You know, but the main purpose that is going to be used for is buying and selling. It says, according to AnyVision, the technology can continuously scan for faces 24/7 and automatically identify and track individuals with 99% accuracy. It says the system algorithms, with the help of a human monitors, will compare identified faces with criminal database. The technology is also meant to scalable across platforms from smartphones to computers. You know, so pretty much this software, it can be used on smartphones and it can be used on computers. But pretty much that's pretty much it on that. But this technology, you can see how Esau's been getting you used to using this via his movies, and it's called predictive programming. You know, so this biometric system will go hand in hand with the mark of the beast. Now I want to move on to the Venezuela situation, which the reason why Venezuela is so impoverished. Well, first of all, Venezuela is one of those countries that's sitting on the biggest amount of oil within the world. So you would ask yourself, well, how does a country that's sitting on the biggest oil reserves within the world become so bankrupt? And why is their economy doing so bad? Why did last year we see their economy just go down, you know, the drain, you know, to the point where people are killing all different kind of animals to survive, eating horses, you know, invading their neighbors' lawns and beating the cow to death, even suffering casualties, you know, a couple people dying. The only thing that will cause a country to collapse and fold like that is the International Monetary Fund, which is ran through these elite banking families. You know, the ones that are behind the International Monetary Fund is the Rothschilds and the rest of these elites, which goes back to their bloodline, goes back to the same bloodline, which is the nation of Edom. You know, the nation of Edom rules the world today. They're the rulers of the world. They're over the world, and they rule the world through their international bankers. They rule the world through their IMF. Pretty much, the IMF is when you look at those older movies and you see the mob, and the mob will go to a store, right? Just using this as an analogy, they would go to a store and they'll terrorize the owner of the store, and they'll tell him, well, and you need our protection, you know. They'll strong arm him and they'll put fear in him, and either he'll agree, and if he'll agree, basically what he has to do is he has to pay tribute to them. But if he don't agree, they'll either whack him, you know, or they'll keep continually terrorizing him. Well, pretty much that's similar to what's going on with the IMF and with Venezuela. Pretty much with the IMF, they'll come to your country and they'll tell you, okay, this is what you're gonna do, X, Y, Z, and you're gonna transfer, these things over to us, and if you don't, we'll basically pretty much take down your economy. You know, so matter of fact, I think I got an article on it somewhere. Let's see, which deals with how the IMF pretty much strong arms a country. Let's see. Let's go to profile. In Salakia, I should have brought this up, but basically, this article, it says IMF and World Bank destroying countries, and I came over this last night. What you see, it was published in 2002. Now, this isn't the only country. Venezuela isn't the only country that the IMF has collapsed. It says the World Bank IMF is owned and controlled by Nathan Meyer Rothschild, and 30 to 40 of the wealthiest people in the world. For over 150 years, they have planned to take the world over through money. And that's the truth. The nation of Edom, which these people go back to, they're planning to take the world over via the money, and I'm sure, like, for an example, America, which when it comes down to America, America has the power to put sanctions on countries. Now, the history of American's position in the world, it goes all the way back, but before the petrodollar, going back to what was known as the gold standard, which the gold standard was implemented during the Brentwood Agreement. All right. Under the Brentwood Agreement, that's when all of the nations agreed to give their gold into America, because the gold was to be backed by each dollar bill that these countries received from America was to be backed by 35 ounces of gold. But fast forwarding up until the time of I believe that's Nixon, pretty much the America was printing too many dollars. Salaki, if I jumped the gun, the countries gave their gold to America for dollar bills, believing that each dollar bill would be backed by 35 ounces of silver. So fast forward up until Nixon, when America was fighting in the Vietnam War, these countries saw that America was printing more dollar bills than they can back by gold. So what happened was these nations wanted to cash in their dollar bills and to take back their gold. And Nixon separated the dollar bill from the gold, which left these nations stuck with a bunch of dollars. It left them stuck with a bunch of dollar bills. And then here comes the petrodollar. Basically, the history goes by Esau that the Saudis were fighting against the Israelis or those gutter Jews over there in something called the Yom Kippur War. But America stepped in and intervened, and that's when the Saudis allowed America to peg the dollar to the petrol, because one of the biggest oil companies in the world is OPEC, which is owned by the Saudis. So America stepped in, intervened, supplied the Saudis with weapons, promised to protect their oil fields, which we know that the Saudis and the Israelis are working together. So this isn't nothing, but this wasn't nothing but the rich elite banking families behind that. The Jews that are in the land of Israel, they're linked together with the Rothschilds. They're the same nation of people. They're nothing but Amalekites, which is the chief tribe of Esau, the chief tribe of Edom. So these countries that are around the world, basically the dollar bill being pegged to OPEC, these countries will have to use the American dollar bill to be able to purchase oil and gas around the world. Now, when you look at the history of Venezuela, Venezuela has been kind of rebellious, against the U.S. Therefore, the U.S. Is applying, and this is what gives the U.S. power. The U.S. has the power to put sanctions on countries, which causes them not to be able to use those dollar bills that they had left over in their reserve from, their nation once given their gold to America to get those dollar bills that were to be backed by 35 ounces of silver. So those dollar bills that they had left in reserve, America, their money being pegged to OPEC, allowed them to use those dollar bills to buy oil. So basically, that gives America the power to put sanctions on countries to stop them from being able to use those dollar bills to purchase oil, which does what it makes it to where that country can't grow their economy. Now, getting back into this article, it says the former chief economist of the World Bank, Joe Stiglitz, was fired recently. He pointed out top executives. He pointed out to top executives that every country the IMF, World Bank got involved in ended up with a crashed economy, a destroyed government, sometimes in flames with riots. And these are all of the things that we saw in Venezuela, going back to 2017 and 2016, which all of this started way before, that time, So the economy crashed, it was a destroyed government, and sometimes, basically it wasn't flames and fires. I'm gonna just jump down. It says basically it says these secret documents from the World Bank and International Monetary Fund reveal the four steps that the IMF required from nations. It says to sign secret agreements of 111 items. It says in which they agreed to sell of their key assets, water, electric, gas, etc., in which they agreed to take economic steps which are really devastating to the nations involved, in which they pay off the politicians billions of dollars to switch bank accounts to do this transfer of the country's fixed assets. And pretty much you can go and look more into this, which I found it interesting. But basically, what you saw in Venezuela, was due to the fact that also they borrow money from the IMF. Once you borrow money from the IMF, that pretty much you're pretty much putting your own headstone above your head and digging your own grave. Because they'll come in and they'll wipe your country out. They'll clean it very dry. And also, it's because of the economic sanctions. Because remember, the world is being ruled by that rich elite banking family, which is the Rothschilds, whose nationality goes back to Esau, which we're going to get into scriptures in a minute. And they use America pretty much as their whipping stick, so they can do either two things. Either they can put sanctions on you or they can fight a war against you, which when you look at the news today, they're building up to fight a war against Iran, which is another country that sits on big oil reserves. So pretty much any country that's sitting on a huge oil reserve and it ain't really trying to comply with the these rich elite banking families, they do this too. So they sent the IMF in, they put sanctions on Venezuela, which resulted in Venezuela being bankrupt, and then they just come in and take over and just take all of the country's assets. Says Venezuela, getting into the article, it says Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has ordered the country's state energy company PDVSA to close some of its purchase and sell deals using the national commodity-backed digital currency Petro. Says the country's oil ministry tweeted the president directive, which also applies to Venezuela's state-run conglomerate CVG, which is charged with economic development in Guyana region. It also operates aluminum producer and state's petrochemical company Pequaven. Says the petrol is backed by the oil. The petrol is backed by the oil, gas, gold, and diamond reserves. Investors purchased around 735 million worth of petrol cryptocurrency during the pre-sale on Tuesday, according to President Maduro. He sees it as a way of breaching the U.S. financial blockade. Yeah, because the U.S., has the ability to put sanctions on a country, which stops that country from being able to buy and sell. So the market of beast, the market of beast, the RFID chip can't be uh, uh, economic sanctions, because they already have the power to put economic sanctions on people. The scripture talks about the RFID chip being put in the hand. Talks about it be putting in both hands, put in the mind. It really don't matter where you receive that RFID chip. If you receive it anywhere, that it's the mark of the beast, and you're going to be destroyed. But basically, as IUIC, goes hella off, saying that it's dealing with big business. You see the American, they already have the power to pretty much stop people from trading with the country, or shutting down bank accounts to where countries can't access those dollar bills that they're receiving from the U.S. So pretty much, but this is playing, this article that I'm reading is playing right into the hand of these financial bankers, these international bankers, because Venezuela is pretty much a test run. I can see Venezuela through the spirit being one of those countries that is first to implement the RFID chip, and that's the reason why I'm bringing out this article, because the whole reason that the whole fact that they're getting into this cryptocurrency, the cryptocurrency can now be used on the RFID chip to be able to buy and sell with it. Reading on, it says Maduro also ordered Venezuelan embassies across the world to provide consular service using the digital currency. The president has entertained a proposal made by the Airlines Association to buy aircraft fuel using the petro. The commodity-based cryptocurrency will be used as payment instruments on the Venezuela-Colombia border and starting from Wednesday. So yesterday, that's when they implemented. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2018, and they started this February 21st, 2018. All right, but here it is. They mentioned in the above article that the reason that they're doing this is to get around the Americans' economic blockades that they put on Venezuela. And because of those economic blockades, all of these countries around the world, they pretty much hate America. America is pretty much the bully on the block, forcing nations to bend at their whim. And if they don't, like the scriptures say, if they will not worship the image of the beast, he caused them to be put to death. If they don't want to follow America's rules or America's ways, they pretty much will do this to the economy, of your country. Uh, that's pretty much it. So let's get into these scriptures. The scripture says right here in Job 9:24, it says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" So right now, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The judges that he covered, beginning with our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, but also the true judges of the earth, which are the Israelites. He causes their faces to be covered. Basically, iconoclasm, whitewashing, you know, causing the remembrance of us to cease. He changed the image of our Lord into an image of an individual that looks just like him, so that he can push on the world that supremacy, the white supremacy. But this nation that the earth is given into, the wicked that the earth is given into, is the nation of Edom. And this scripture right here proves that. This is 2nd Ezra 6:6. It says, "Then I considered these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other." It says, "By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the part and the center of the times? Or when shall be the first in the beginning of it that followeth?" And he said unto me, "From Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Esau were born of him. Jacob's hand held first the hilt of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth." So here it is, it's the end of the world. And so who's in it? Who's ruling over? It's a nation of Esau. So those rich elite banking families that you see, the Rothschilds and the other families that are ruling over the world, they're the wicked. And how did they accumulate the power that they have? This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 10:8. It says, "Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another." So they got the world by deceit. They got the world through fraud, through a lot of killing, rape, robbery, and stealing. You know, and that's how the world was translated into their power. Moving on to Isaiah 10:13, it says, "For he saith, By my strength and by my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom." Because ultimately it's the Most High Heavenly Father that allowed them, to come into power. It's not through their strength, it's not through their power, because when you look at them, truly, what they're some of the weakest people on the planet Earth. So it had to be some divine intervention to allow them to accumulate the power over the earth, you know, which they did through their blessing, which was the sword. The Lord had to weaken the nations, to allow them to come into power, because really they're a weak people, you know, and The scripture tells you in what is that, Daniel's 4:17, that this here is done by the decree of the watcher, so that the living, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man and setteth up over it whomsoever he will, even the basis of man. Because these devils, the nation of Edom is actually a base people. They're base people, which means that they're low people. So this devil is saying, it says, for he said, by my strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom. He said, for I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasures, and have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. It says, in my hand have found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gatherer of eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth. So this right here is not talking about is not talking about the this right here has to be a future prophecy, speaking about the so-called white man, speaking about the nation of Edom, because in this time that we're living in, they gained the whole earth. They gathered the whole earth. Like it said in where's that article at? It says for over 150 years they have planned to take over the world through money. And that's exactly what they did. They went into a lot of countries. They fought wars against the countries. They used their politics. They to overthrow governments. To overthrow politicians. They buy out politicians, like it was saying up in this article. They'll send the IMF in. They'll bankrupt the economy and come in and take it over. And they have gathered the whole earth. Yeah, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who are the wicked? The wicked is the nation of Edom. It says, and there was none that moved a wing or opened a mouth or peeped. So there's this right here, these articles, along with these scriptures that are being brought out, it shows you, who's ruling the earth right now. It shows you how they've gotten the earth into their possession. Now, the scripture says over here in the book of Habakkuk, starting at verse 5, it says, yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desires as hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. He's heaping unto him all nations, all people with their wealth, and he does it they do it through the IMF. They do it through the banking system. They do it through collapsing economies. They do it through turning the people against the government. They do it through causing the people to riot. And it's the same tactics that you see all over the world. And this is how you know who's behind it. You follow there's an old saying, follow the money trail, or who benefits. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb? Because these nations are mad. Like it says in the book of Jeremiah, it says that the nations are mad. Because here it is, these nations didn't want to be trapped up in your web, but you forced them to. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a rebellion, and these nations are going to turn against you. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb, and say, woe to him that increaseth in that which is not his? How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? Because of that petrodollar, that petrodollar is on the decline. You got countries that are stepping away from using it, and that's the reason why these international bankers want to implement the RFID chip system, which when you go to this back to this article, all right, Venezuela is being set up for that system. Venezuela state oil firm to strike deal using national cryptocurrency. They're being set up to be one of the first countries that have that RFID chip system. Going back to Habakkuk, which the whole world, like it says in the book of Revelations 3:10, it says, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell on the earth." So the whole world is going to be tempted with this. You know, all of these countries that are basically using the petrodollar, all of those countries are going to be set up to where they're forced to use a cryptocurrency or Salakia, the RFID chip system, you know, which a lot of them, those RFID chips, like I mentioned earlier, you can put cryptocurrency on it to be able to buy and sell. You know, and what they do is they do things in steps. They don't do it all at once. You know, so yeah, it's going to start off with the electronic currency, you know, like Bitcoin and what's the other one? The other one is Ethereum, if I'm not mistaken, Ethereum, and then you got Ripple and other cryptocurrencies. But then it's going to evolve into the them pushing on you real heavy and eventually forcing you to take the RFID chip. But going back, it says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth in that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." And the thick clay means ibatya. So countries are stepping away from using the petrodollar, which is causing the American economy. You know, it's causing them to do bad. So eventually they're going to do away with the American economy. They're going to do away with the dollar bill. And they're going to stop using it. And that's when they're going to implement the RFID chip mark of the beast system. Moving on, it says, "Shall not they rise suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of man's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and all of all that dwell therein." So just think about all of the people that died, all of the violence that happened, all of the clashes, all of the race riots, you know, all of these different countries that were overthrew by the rich elite banking families, you know, just because of their their greed. All of these countries that they spoil because they're greedy. And like the scriptures say right here, let me grab this. Psalm 73:7. It says, "Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than their hearts could wish." You know, there's another one that says in the book of Proverbs, it says that death and hell can never be satisfied, death and hell can never be full. So these rich elite banking families are are are, are never satisfied. They're always taking and taking and taking. You know, and they're spoiling many nations. And through them spoiling these nations, there's been a lot of people dying. There's been famines that has been caused, you know, people, families being broken up, people being having to migrate to other lands, because a lot of those people in Venezuela, they left and they went to Colombia. And these are nothing but hey, because it's an Israelite country, these curses are coming upon them, you know, from the Most High Heavenly Father. Women having to reduce to prostitution, you know, their children dying. And this is coming to America as well. You know, this collapse that happened in Venezuela is going to come to America. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetous to his houses, to his house, and he that set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. You know? So jumping over to Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. You know, so all of this is leading up to them implementing the RFID chip and forcing people to take it, you know, because that, like I said, you know, that American economy, that American dollar bill is going to collapse, you know, not just in America, but around the world. And what they're going to do as a backup is force people to take this chip. And whoever don't want to take that chip, they're gonna be put to death, or they're gonna either, if the hand of the Lord isn't dealing with them, and the Lord is only dealing with the Israelites, only dealing with the elect of Israel. So those are gonna be the ones that escape, you know, that great harshness, that time of trouble that comes upon the world to try men, that chaos, that catastrophe, that devastation. Reading on, it says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." So eventually, you know, these countries around the world, they're gonna use this system, the RFID system. You know, and no matter where you receive that mark, whether it be in your right hand, whether it be like Apostle Tahar saying your left butt cheek, whether it be in your pinky toe, if you receive that mark, you know, you're gonna be put to death. You're gonna die according to Revelations, the 14th chapter, verse 9. You're gonna die in that lake of fire, because eventually all of these nations that are angry at America, that are angry at these rich elite banking families, because they're sick of playing their game. They don't want to dance this dance no more. You know, so these nations are like it says. Let me see. I believe that's Jeremiah 51. Yep, Jeremiah 51 and 7. It says, "Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made the earth drunken. The nations are drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad." So these nations are mad. All right, and these nations are going to eventually shoot ICBM missiles on America and different parts of Europe, and on Israel. It's and a lot of people are gonna die via the thermonuclear destruction that's gonna happen upon this place. And those same nations that shoot those ICBM missiles, those nations, the leaders of those nations are gonna be taken down, as well as a lot of people of their nation in the valley of Yahushua, because even judgment even has to come upon them because of how they spoiled Israel and the things that they did unto Israel. You know, all of these nations are deserving of this, because all of these nations have partaken in our downfall. You know, like it says in the book of Second Maccabees, or First Maccabees, I believe the second chapter. It says that what nation have not had a part in our destruction, roughly paraphrasing. But reading on, this is Revelations 14 and 9. It says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." So the mark of the beast is the RFID chip, you know, which is gonna go hand in hand with that biometric system. And this is gonna be the new currency, and it's not gonna last a long time, but the time from that it takes to implement it, you know, it's gonna be very hard times to deal with, especially being an individual that don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you know, because that this hour, which is the hour of temptation, is gonna come upon the whole earth to try all men. Economies are gonna collapse. There's gonna be famines, no going to the grocery stores to buy food, all out chaos. And what are they gonna do to basically so-called stabilize the economy? They're going to implement that RFID chip, and when the RFID chip is implemented, a lot of people are going to take it, and a lot of people are going to be put to death for not taking it, but eventually those people that do take it are going to be destroyed and tormented in the lake of fire, you know and if you're an Israelite and you're tempted with the RFID chip and you deny it and you are put to death, you're going to reign with the Lord. All right, you're going to be the first ones on those chariots to receive salvation. So stay firm in these times. And the scriptures say, "Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time." You know, so get in the word of Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai. Come back to Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai. Reading your scriptures. If you're Israelite out there, come back to your heritage, because this is the only thing that's going to benefit you and keep you safe in those times. So I really hope that this lesson was edifying. I kind of started this lesson at like 5 something in the morning. Spirit hit me. I woke up out of my sleep, and I couldn't resist doing this. Doing this lesson. But I hope that it was edifying. A Salakia, where I came short in knowledge. But basically based upon what I do know, I did my best to make this video. Tawada Yahweh Yahweh Shai for allowing me to do this video. So to the next time, Shalom.